All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna see for these two Google searches, one local and one city level. If either or both of them have BSS. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. And our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. If we're falling, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So, BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers, searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search, and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads, and that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water for on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance, or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page one slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page one on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page one on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page one, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't never going to see us because they're page one only. And then for 1 slot on page one, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has, 1 slot on page one. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, S-cubed methodology. We know this is a solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page one to 9 out of 10 slots on page one in 10 days. Google page one search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page one, or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us at higher chance Google puts us at Google page one. So the S-cubed methodology, to use it, we have to accept page one equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution? We can use S-cubed methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page one Google, but we employ S-cubed methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market gets more and more saturated, we stay dominating page one, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. 80% of them, approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. Page one visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page one, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page one, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page one, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page one, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page two. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. We, 0 slots on page one. We don't have 1 slot on page one. We do not have 2 slots on page one. Well, 2 slots on page one means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And we want to hit that because we actually Yeah, if we get 3 out of 10 on page one, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link. And very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page one equality, the false belief of page one equality. And we achieve, or we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. But we got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. All right, so now we're gonna look at the main event here. Gonna see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for its local search, Boudoir, California, and its city search, Temecula, California. All right, let's check this out. All right, so first searching Boudoir. So here we go. All right, we got 1. Boom, we got 2. Boom, we got 3. Boom, we got 4. Boom, we got 5. All right, we got 6. 7. Sponsor, that doesn't count. That doesn't count for our 10, so awesome. 7 out of 10. This is what we got. This is what we need. How many competitors did they kick off? Up to 6. They ain't being price shopped against no one, or very, very few. They ain't being price shopped against 9, because we already know approximately 80% of Google searches ain't never going to page 2. So 7 out of 10, fantastic. Now we'll look at our city. Close one, there's some Lake Elsinore or something, but I chose Temecula to do the city search, bigger city. So let's see. Let's see how we're ranking here, pulling in people from Temecula. All right. All right, we got 0 in Temecula. So it looks like we're actually we're missing pulling people in from Temecula. So we do got BSS. So we don't have BSS for the local search. That's good. And we also hit the GBC minimum 3 out of 10 for local search. Perfect. But we definitely do have BSS for the city search, or 0 out of 10 slots there. And we definitely did not hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots for the city search. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've got boudoir search sameness, you search locally, and do a local search and a city search for the high intent keywords, and you got boudoir search sameness, and you've realized now that page 1 equality is a false belief, and now we have a methodology to take as many page 1 slots as we want, depending on how much effort we want to put in, and we actually we see the market saturation, and we see what AI is doing to people's jobs. And as a result, we know that as AI takes more and more people's jobs, the amount of boudoir photographers over time is actually going to increase. Because what happened during COVID? Lots of people lost their jobs, put themselves out there as boudoir photographers, got the website, got the Facebook page, got the Google My Business profile, like a whole big, deluge of boudoir photographers entered the market, pushing a ton of people off page 1 that have been there for a while. And so you're saying, okay, AI is going to take more people's jobs. It's going to have way more boudoir photographers entering the market. We need to position ourselves, defend our territory, and actually get more territory on page 1 of Google. So when these boudoir photographers come in, they don't affect our business at all, because we'll have so much coverage on page 1 they'll be forced to be on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even go to page 2. They stay right on page 1. So we'll be hitting the bulk of the searchers, and we'll actually be pushing off our current competitors off page 1 as well. And so you're seeing at 3, the SQ methodology is the only way to get you there. And you also see kind of the back-end bonuses of using it, we haven't even talked about yet, which are, when we're ranked for these high intent keywords across all social search, and then that pulls into Google search, it creates like thematic keyword pillars of our brand, our name, our account names, our brand, our website, and it increases the probability. We show up here for AI overview for local and city search, increases that probability. It increases the probability we show up for AI search in all AI search positions or apps like ChatGPT search, Claude search, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Gemini search. It's a back-end benefit because we're having these thematic keyword pillars all around our brand. Where, last time I used ChatGPT search, asked about boudoir photographers in the city, dude, it brought up 3. And that was it. And so, kind of back-end benefits is we're future-proofing the business because more and more people are going to be using AI search and basically kind of dominating social search, flows through to dominating page 1 Google search, which is kind of the canary in the coal mine. If we're increasing the probability, we're ranking on AI search, which would, there's no back end number of how close we are to ranking on it, but all these things that we're doing increases that probability. So we're kind of hitting like 5 different birds with one stone. And also you're noticing that if someone else in your city hops on this first and gets this momentum to all these benefits first, then, well, 1, I cannot work with you because current plan is only work with 1 person per city. And 2, you have to figure out how to do this SQ methodology yourself and all the time to implement it. And you don't even know if you're doing it correctly. So we have our own proprietary methodology. And you'd have to equal our output to maintain against us if we're already working with someone else in the same city. And you'd have to exceed our output to actually make progress on us and all the momentum we would have already made with another boudoir photographer in your current city, to kind of get these thematic keyword pillars attached to our brand. So it's kind of just this big, massive momentum builder for whoever's the first mover boudoir photographer in their city. And we got our final 6 questions here as always. If basically how many slots you think could actually get on page 1 on Google. Remember, this is downstream of already in the top ranked page 1 of social search on all the social search engines. And how many more boudoir clients could that bring for the lifetime of the business, and then how much profit would that generate for the lifetime of the business? And then if someone else went with me first and is it possible you get kicked off page 1 Google search and get relegated to page 2 or page 3? How much would that increase or decrease the probability to get buyers over your business lifetime? How many buyers do you believe you could lose, and how much lifetime profit could you lose? So if you decide to SQ methodology is for you, you definitely want it. This is the thing you've been looking for, waiting for. And shoot me a DM when I open for new patient intake. My DMs are closed right now. Hospital is closed, but when I do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify.